The air in Saigon hung thick, heavy with heat, heavy with fear. The city was a cauldron of anxiety, every breath a reminder of the looming danger. It was April 1975. The war was ending, not in victory but in collapse. The streets buzzed with the news, a mix of disbelief and resignation. The city teemed with desperation. People moved with purpose, yet their eyes betrayed their fear. Each day brought the enemy closer. Whispers turned to shouts. The fall was imminent. People sought escape, any escape. From the inevitable, the tension was palpable. A city on the brink. Hope was a flickering candle in a gathering storm. Operation Baby Lift. A glimmer of light in the encroaching darkness, a name that promised hope, a mission of mercy, a desperate attempt to save the innocent, its purpose to rescue children, to give them a chance at life. Orphans of a brutal, lingering conflict. Vietnamese infants and children. Innocent lives caught in the crossfire. They were to be flown to new homes, new lives. Far from the chaos that had become their reality, far from the encroaching chaos, to a place where peace was not just a dream, far from the shadow of defeat, to a land of new beginnings. America was opening its arms, a beacon of hope in a time of despair, or so it was said. This was a chance, a slim one, but a chance nonetheless. Tan Son Nhut Air Base, the epicenter of this daring operation. It pulsed with frantic energy, a hive of activity, every second crucial. A gateway to safety, or so many hoped, a lifeline in a sea of uncertainty. Amidst this controlled panic, one aircraft stood out, a Lockheed C5A Galaxy, a symbol of hope and salvation. Captain Dennis Bud Traynor, a name synonymous with excellence in aviation. He was a seasoned pilot with years of experience under his belt. He understood the C5A Galaxy like the back of his hand, intimately, its strengths, its complexities, its sheer size and power. He was known for his calm demeanor, his steady hand, even under immense pressure. Today, that calm would be tested. Tested beyond imagining, in ways he had never faced before. He was a man trusted with great responsibility, a leader among his peers. Today, that trust was absolute, unwavering. The weight on his shoulders was immense, almost palpable. More than just an aeroplane, it was a lifeline, more than just a mission. He carried the future of hundreds of children, their innocent faces, their unknowing eyes. He was their guardian, their pilot, their protector, their best hope for survival, their beacon in the sky. This was not a routine cargo flight. This was a mission of utmost importance. This was a flight of souls, each one precious, each one vulnerable, depending on him. His crew members were professionals, each one dedicated to their role, each expert in their field, the flight engineer, the navigators, the loadmasters, the medical team, all working in unison. They moved with quiet efficiency, preparing the giant aircraft for its critical mission. They reached 23,000 feet, the altitude where the air thins and the world below seems distant and serene. Cruising above the vast expanse of the South China Sea, the aircraft seemed to glide effortlessly. The children were mostly calm. Some slept, their small bodies relaxed in the seats. Some were tended by nurses who moved quietly, ensuring everyone was comfortable. Then it happened. A sound, a noise that cut through the calm. Not a bang, not a crack. A monumental tearing, like the fabric of the plane itself was being ripped apart. A sound that spoke of catastrophe, of metal giving way, of the impossible occurring right before their eyes, deep within the aeroplane's structure. The rear cargo ramp, the pressure door, they had failed, catastrophically, ripped from the fuselage, violently torn away, leaving a gaping wound in the aircraft. In the tail of the mighty C5A, the damage was extensive. The aeroplane was suddenly open to the elements, exposed in a way it was never meant to be, to the savage, rushing elements. At high altitude, the wind howled through the opening. The integrity of the machine shattered in an instant. A terrifying structural failure, explosive decompression that left no room for error. The air inside the cabin, once pressurized and safe, rushed out with ferocious speed, a hurricane unleashed within the confines of the aircraft. Within the confines of the aeroplane, loose objects became projectiles, flying with deadly force. Dust and debris filled the air, oxygen masks deployed, dangling from the ceiling, a last line of defense. Section 4. Damage and Despair, the Grim Reality. Flight Engineer Technical Sergeant Ray Snedigar wrestled with his panel, trying to make sense of the chaos. Warning lights glowed like malevolent eyes. What systems had failed? What, if anything, still functioned? He had to know. He had to tell Traynor. Information was life. Seconds stretched into an eternity of urgent analysis. The aircraft shuddered, groaned. The diagnosis was grim, horrifying. Hydraulic fluid gushing out from severed lines. The lifeblood of the aeroplane's controls. Gone. Control cables to the tail surfaces, the elevators that governed pitch, the rudder that controlled yaw, they were damaged, inoperable, or responding erratically. The C5A was a beast with a broken back, flying blind, flying crippled. Section 5, flying on a prayer throttles as wings. Captain Traynor faced the unthinkable. No elevators, no rudder, no ailerons he could truly trust. The conventional means of controlling an aeroplane were lost to him. But the C5A had 4 massive General Electric TF-39 engines, each one a powerhouse, each one under his command through the throttle levers. This was his only hope, his only chance to survive. He made a decision, a desperate, audacious decision. He would fly the C5A using only differential engine thrust power. Section 6, the final agonizing approach. The coastline of Vietnam appeared. Tan Son Nhut was closer, but the C5A was losing altitude too quickly. Traynor fought the throttles, trying to manage the descent to make it survivable. The aeroplane wallowed, unstable, difficult to aim. He knew a normal landing was impossible. He was aiming for a controlled crash, the best outcome he could hope for now. He lined up as best he could with the runway, or what he hoped was the runway. The ground rushed up too fast. The crippled giant was bucking, shuddering, resisting his desperate commands. He pulled back on the throttles, trying to flare, to soften the impact. But the aeroplane had its own momentum, its own tragic trajectory. There was nothing more he could do. Section 7, Aftermath. Lessons forged in fire and courage. Rescue efforts began immediately. Soldiers, airmen, civilians, they rushed to the scene, a scene of unimaginable horror. Wreckage was strewn across the paddies. They pulled survivors from the twisted metal, from the smoke, from the fire. The courage of the rescuers was immense, but the toll was devastating. Many lives were lost, so many innocent children, their journey ended too soon. The investigation commenced swiftly. What had caused such a catastrophic failure? The findings were stark. The locking mechanism for the rear cargo doors, it was flawed. Pins had not engaged correctly. It was a known problem with the C5A. Modifications had been ordered, but not all aircraft had received them, or the fixes were incomplete. A preventable disaster, a tragic oversight. Despite the horror of this first flight, Operation Baby Lift continued. The need was too great.